Hey everyone, we're doing another Stage 32 Ask Us Anything video, and today we're talking about funding. Stay with us.
All right, so today's question comes from Callie Gilbert. She says, my question has to do with funding, which I'm sure you get a lot. As a new filmmaker, I'm learning it's quite the process as there are so many moving parts to making a film. What would be your suggestions to someone just starting out as to the best ways to raise secure funds for their projects? Alex, what do you say?
Well, I say if you are just immediately starting out, it's probably not ideal to throw a ton of money into a project or even like go out looking for a ton of money. If you're just starting out, you probably don't have a ton of experience, and so it's probably best to start out small. Maybe like try making a no budget project first just to sort of work out some kinks, just like practice basics like framing, composition, or like directing, basic like directing skills, things like that, to get past those hurdles initially. For the time that you do start reaching out for money, it'll be, a little bit better served because you'll have a little bit of experience under your belt.
You had also mentioned, Callie, that you are working on 2 docs and a adaptation from a novel. Now, we aren't ones to always suggest crowdfunding, but in this instance, I would say if you have a documentary or something from a pre-existing property, it might be a good chance to do crowdfunding. Now, before you start your Kickstarter or your Indiegogo, I would say jump onto forums or Facebook groups, especially for the doc, for people that are interested in the subject that the documentary is about. Become a part of that community. Go on, talk to people. Not only will it help build out your story for your documentary, but you also get to know people and things like that. And then by the time you're ready to launch your Kickstarter to raise funds for your documentary, people will know you and they'll actually feel invested in the film that you're going to do. So you'll actually have a better response for your Kickstarter campaign, and people will be like, oh, well, you know what? She's really interested in this. I know her from the message boards, or I know her from Facebook, or I know her from Twitter, and I'm actually going to go and support this. So that's one way to do it, especially if you do a novel that has a bunch of fans. Jump on those message boards, jump on those Facebook fan pages, and gain interest in your project and start a Kickstarter. We don't always recommend it, but in this instance, I'd say it'd be pretty good.
Yeah, and building on that, I'd say that's a great opportunity to sort of like test your idea and see if there's actually a market for it out there. That way ahead of time, before you start the Kickstarter, before you put all that effort into raising funds, okay, there's actually a big group of people that are really interested in this. When I posted on the message board, they really respond to my posts and they have a lot of questions. They really like what I'm doing. So, it's just a little hint as to whether or not maybe crowdfunding will work for you in that scenario right there too.
And also because you're just starting out, Kickstarter or no, I would recommend shooting a little maybe teaser or a scene from either, or do one interview for the documentary or one scene from the novel. If you're going to do a Kickstarter, you can put that up on the page to show people what your vision is. It also gives you practice on what you're going to shoot. But also, if you're not going to do a Kickstarter, you could send it out to people that you may be reaching out for funding, be it friends, family, or people in the industry for the documentary, and show them what you're kind of doing, what your style is, what your story is, and that'll gain some interest, and you could then possibly get some funding from private people.
And I think my personal opinion about this is that when you go out to actually reach out for funding from people, you need to be realistic. You need to be honest. I think it can be tempting to go out and like make all these comparisons to other movies that did really well and say, oh, it's possible that it could make $10 million or $100 million at the box office.
Be the
or
next
whatever.
Twilight.
Be the next Twilight. Be the next whatever. I think
that's your jam.
Yeah, I think it's very tempting to do that. I know a lot of people teach that. I don't really subscribe to that because I feel like it's kind of a little dishonest.
Yep.
And I think
gotta be truthful.
Gotta be truthful, and I think there are people that are willing to give money knowing that it's extremely risky. There's not that big of a possibility that you'll make money on it. A lot of people investing in smaller movies will be able to give like smaller amounts, and they'll be okay losing it or like gambling on your film or whatever because they just want the experience of being on a film set or having that credit or being able to go to parties and just sort of like kind of brag with their buddies about the cool project that they're doing. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of person you're going to look for, not the person that's really interested in like an investment, because you're going to probably have a hard time convincing them that it's a really good idea to invest in your low budget movie. But also, I just don't think it's very, morally correct, in my opinion. It's my opinion.
I think that'll about do it. I don't know. That's little snippets of information. Hopefully that answered some of your questions, Callie. I can't say we answered them all. Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
I know. But
Who
hopefully
knows?
you liked it.
Yeah.
So if you have any other questions, those of you watching, please leave them in the comments below. We'll try to come back and read them, see which ones we like and we can answer and help you guys out with, and we'll answer them in future videos here on Stage 32.
Keep them coming.